Hey everybody, this is Andy Schweiger up at Schweiger Vineyards today on our third of our tastings with members of Straight No Chaser. Guys, why do you want to say hello?
How's it going? It's good to be back.
You can introduce yourself, Siggy.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, if you don't know me by now, my name is Segi Isho. I am a member of Straight No Chaser, and I am broadcasting from Detroit, Michigan.
My name is Dave Roberts. I'm a founding member of Straight No Chaser. Still work with the guys, making sure everything on the business end is where it needs to be, along with our manager, David Britz there. And I'm broadcasting here from Chicago.
Hey, David Britz here from Los Angeles, California. Happy to be here and really excited to taste some wine this afternoon. Thanks again for having us, Andy.
Hey, thank you for joining me. And I decided it was such a beautiful day, needed to take it outside. I'm watching the sun. I'm probably going to go into partial sunlight. So I'm going to do this fancy slideshow first before I lose my sunlight. This is how you do a slideshow out in the vineyard.
I love it.
So
what do we have here?
Are doing a promotion in partnership with Fly with Wine. So for our next webcast, which will be Tuesday, that is the 7th of April, I believe. If you pre-register on Zoom for Tuesday's webcast, which the subject will be corks and screw caps, you'll automatically be entered in a giveaway to receive this 12-bottle armored suitcase, appropriate for checking on airplanes. So be sure to tune into that webcast. If you've been getting our emails about the webisodes, there'll be more about this in there. And if you don't win, you'll still receive a 25% discount. So if you want to go shopping, go to flywithwine.com and check these bags out. They look pretty cool.
Yeah.
12 bottles. That's perfect for your weekend getaway.
Exactly.
As long as you're traveling alone.
And this isn't a paid partnership, but I do own one of those wine suitcases. And I have been known to fly with a case of wine on multiple occasions. So I'm a big fan of those suitcases, and they do work well.
Awesome.
I've got an 8-bottle one, I think, a smaller one. But yeah, man, they're great.
I've got a jacket with really deep pockets on the inside.
That does you long enough to get to the security line, and then you have to go to the duty free.
Yep, exactly.
Fantastic. Well, everybody at home, if you haven't already, if you have a bottle of 2013 dedication to join us, that's what we're going to be enjoying today. So feel free, pour yourself a glass, and let's dig into this and have some fun.
Andy, you got to tell us about this etched bottle, man. This is beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
So kind of a funny story, and this could be classified under stupid winemaker tricks. To make it appear to be etched, it's actually silk screened.
Okay.
So where it is gold, that's actually 22 karat precious gold. And what appears to be etched is actually silk screened. And to get that effect, when I was meeting with my printer, I was looking at all the different ink samples that they had printed on other bottles. And I looked at this one, it was a splotchy, it was a vodka bottle, strangely enough. And it was just this big splotch. And Francie said, Andy, you don't want that ink. That's an ink that we use for specialty raves out in the former Russian, the former Soviet Russian states. They use them for raves because the ink glows in the dark. And I said, it glows in the dark, but but it has texture. What if you used it for line art? They said, nobody's ever wanted to do that. They want it to be big splotches so it would glow in the dark. So they quickly loaded up a press and ran line art, and lo and behold, it looks like it's etched. So the ink today is now called Etch Glow Green. And me being out in natural sunlight, if I were to go into a darkened room with this bottle, it would glow green.
Wow.
I can see everybody out there watching right now is running to turn the lights off and
Yeah, right.
I might just have to have a rave tonight.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, I'll just have to keep the bottle because it's not going to make it to sundown.
Zero
you got to
chance
get the
of survival.
blackout shades. Pro move.
Zero
Blackout
chance.
shades.
Oh, this smells really good.
So those of you who haven't had dedication before, this is our proprietary Bordeaux blend. We grow all 4 varietals. This is more of a left bank style Bordeaux blend, so it's Cabernet based. And the percentages change year to year. It's dependent on my style and how the vintage came out. So the 2013 is 56% Cab, 32% Merlot, 9% Cab Franc, and 3% Malbec.
Getting that earthiness right on the nose. Andy.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
apropos to where I am today, I'm actually in some of our older Merlot vines right now. Everything is just coming out bud break. I'm not sure if you guys can see any of the buds, but this is actually the last row of Merlot in this block, and the next row down is all of our Cabernet Franc. So we're standing in 2 of the 4 components of dedication.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
The deeper you get into the glass,
on the nose.
you get that real, just like that real musty, earthy aroma, which I love.
Which it gives it that old world feel to it.
Ooh.
At least on the nose, for sure.
The fun thing about creating this blend too is that since I'm not tied down to one particular varietal, this is less about varietal clarity. It's more about a love letter to terroir. It's expressing what our vineyard can do from that given vintage.
Ooh. Yeah, I get real strong old world here.
Oh yeah, that's real nice. It drinks big, but it's still smooth.
Yeah.
It's a very nuanced, bigger, bolder wine.
That's part of my pursuit with this, and also because, you know, it is a 7-year-old wine, so aged 3 years on oak. As I've said before, not to make it oaky or toasty, but give those tannins time to soften, to round out and be more food friendly. And then another 4 years just sitting in bottle, waiting to be popped open and enjoyed. This to me is the ideal restaurant wine. You're sitting down, you don't even have to stress about cooking. You're letting somebody else do the cooking for you, and just sit, enjoy good company, and enjoy the food, enjoy the wine.
You guys getting on the tannin side? I don't get really. I don't feel the tannins on the front palate at all. Everything is.
No.
I feel the tannins
on the back side.
Back palate.
Yep.
I get up front, like right away, some of that spiciness, and then it washes that velvety sort of tannins down the back. Really, really nice. Yeah, definitely old world feel to it. I was saying when I first popped it that I could get some of that smell from the cave, some of that oak smell from the cave, from the cork there. Smelled really great.
Andy, why don't you talk about how you came up with the name Dedication?
Sure. Well,
sorry, we're just drinking this wine. We're not even thinking about talking about it. Yes, Andy, please tell us.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is that the first vintage of Dedication, I actually, more or less, the very first vintage actually started out as a single vineyard Cabernet. And actually in a little less than 2 weeks, with Cecil Ramirez, I'm going to be tasting our Gate Block Cabernet alongside our Monterre Cabernet. And the very first vintage of Dedication was actually our 2000 Gate Block. And I set about to, okay, how can let me back up. I've worked for large corporate wineries where the marketing department would tell us, okay, this year you have to make 2,000 cases of Reserve and 500 cases of Grand Reserve, and there's no definition as to what Reserve is. And when you're having to make wine based on a quota, sometimes when you're making those quotas, the reserve and the grand reserve and the proprietor's reserve is not as good as it could be if you weren't following a quota. And then when you are following that quota, your finished regular cuvee that most of the people get to purchase is a lesser wine because some of the best fruit went into that wine. So 2000, our gate block was one of the inkiest, darkest wines we'd ever done. And I actually put that down to 100% New French oak to see how it would age and how it would cellar. And then set about the experiment of, can I bottle 50, 100, 150 cases of this and not detract from my regular release of Cabernet? And in that vintage, I could. And so that first vintage dedication was dedicated to the foremost influential men in my life, my son who was born that year, my father, and my two grandfathers. The following year, 2001, 2002, I was ecstatic with how the Gate Block Cabernet turned out, but I could not bottle it separately without taking away from our regular Cabernet. So we didn't do them. And then finally in 2003, I convinced my dad to let me purchase some Cabernet Franc and some Malbec fruit from other wineries. Spring Mountain Winery for the Cab Franc and Paoletti for the Malbec. And that year we made our first Bordeaux style blend. And frequently people ask me, well, why don't you use Petit Verdot? In my opinion, Petit Verdot is only needed in blends like these if you lack color, if you lack tannin, you lack structure. Up in the mountains, we have that in spades. If anything, Mountain Petit Verdot can be very green, tight, tannic, and unpleasant. So I intentionally did not plant any Petit Verdot here and just focused on the 4 varietals I knew do well here. So starting with 2003, dedication was relaunched as our Bordeaux project. And starting with the 05 vintage, it all became estate, which means legally we grew the fruit here, we made the wine here. And that's something I cling to, is that I don't do reserve wines. Dedication is a different concept of winemaking, a different approach. As I said earlier, I'm not trying to make a varietal. I'm not trying to make a more elegant Cabernet. I'm trying to make an elegant, structured blend, irrespective of one varietal over another.
Well done, because it turned out pretty fantastic.
And you said, what was it? 2003 was or 5 was the first year where you were estate?
2005 was the first year where dedication was all estate.
Okay. And that was a goal from the beginning?
Yes, because, our whole thing is, we started out, we're farmers first, and that's why all of our wines are fruit driven. It all starts out here in the vineyard. And why have our end product be subject to somebody else's farming style when we've got the best, quite frankly, some of the best land, some of the best nestled in the mountains between the Sonoma and Napa. We don't get as hot during the day. We don't get as cold at night. Last week, a lot of vineyards were having to run their frost machines. We don't get as cold up here. So we've never had to run fans for frost protection, which is good because some of these shoots are out 2 or 3 inches now.
Wow.
So where are you guys in July and August, temperature wise, when it's hitting 100 in downtown Napa? Where are you guys at?
If it's 100 in downtown Napa, we're probably 95 during the day. The interesting thing is, that's looking we're kind of looking southeast right now. So as the evening fog comes in, so at the far south end of Napa Valley is the San Francisco Bay. And as it cools down in the evening, that fog starts to move north across the valley. So the heat is kind of trapped, and the only place the heat can go is up into the mountains and north. So being some of the northernmost mountains in Napa, it will actually start to cool down around 5 o'clock. And so if our daytime high was 95, by 5 or 6 o'clock, it might be 85. And right around 9 o'clock, the temperature might go back up to 90. And then by 5 o'clock, it finally starts to cool down in the morning.
Got it.
But the beautiful thing is July, August, when you get that morning fog in the valley, you can't see the valley. Sometimes you can't even see the mountains off in the distance. All you see is an ocean of white, and we feel like you're on top of an island surrounded by foam.
The view is just amazing where you're standing. I think you picked the right spot. Now, did you location scout this before we went live? Knowing you, I think you probably did. Tested the camera angles, made sure it was going to look as good as you thought it was going to look.
I'm going to be on record here saying I think this is his go-to spot.
Actually, this is the first time we've ever done a live stream from out in the vineyard. And I just kind of I actually had about 5 spots in the vineyard in mind that I know when I'm driving the tractor early in the morning, you know, you stream a lot of audiobooks, you stream a lot of podcasts because it's 8 to 12 hours just driving a spray rig up and down rows. And I definitely knew where I lose a good signal for streaming. So I went to my strong spots where I know, okay, I need to download an album for the next hour before I go on. And so I knew this was a strong cell signal.
Well, actually, I was just going to go there, Rand. Say as this opens up, I get more of those dark red, like specifically a currant on my palate. Really just nice, even wash. More velvety now as it drinks and finishes. Just really, really, really nice.
I poured a little bit in the glass at first. In my last sip, I really got a little oaky vanilla note on the front palate on that last sip. It was interesting. It was different than anything I had before.
I'm almost getting a little bit of a toasted coconut to the nose now as well.
Yeah. Toasted coconut, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
That's to me the fun thing about taking your time to enjoy a wine. You know, I'll have lots of people say, okay, how long should I decant this before dinner? Or they'll have this new fancy wine gadget that splashes and aerates the wine as they're pouring it. And that takes the fun and the anticipation away from watching the wine open up and take your time to enjoy that glass of wine, not just throw it in a decanter, swirl it, come back to an hour and slam the decanter down.
So you're saying I should return the wine bong I just bought on Amazon?
Don't play wine pong with this wine, Segi.
I think he said wine bong.
Yeah, wine bong.
Either plays here.
Well, that's actually probably a tolerable way to get your 2 buck chuck down.
We don't, there's
or whatever Jerome was drinking the other night.
Modelo sure was what he was. He did have a glass of wine though.
Mm-hmm.
That was Kristen's wine for sure.
I think it was Kristen's wine. Yeah. It was a nice.
We have somebody saying that they would love to pair it with lamb or lobster pot pie, and then
lobster pot pie.
Yeah, I want the recipe for that one.
Yeah, lobster pot pie person. Can you send us the recipe for that?
Yes, please. Berries and a whole lot of love. I agree with that.
Actually, if you could just send me a lobster pot pie, that'd be much preferable to the recipe.
I'm good on a lobster pot pie.
It's a trade secret.
It's a trade secret.
So send me the pot pie.
You can't boast about a food without being. You can't boast about the food without sharing the recipe. That's just low.
I like that it's not lobster pot pie currently. It's pirate's booty is the current pairing, which is, listen, I see it. I feel you.
I definitely have some pirate booty in the cabinet right now, but I think if I were to eat any of it, there'd be a mutiny over here. My kids would not be happy about that.
Well, listen, we have to juggle our wine drinking with our parenting. It's something that has to happen.
Parenting.
air quotes on parenting. But if the pirate's booty is all that's available, it may bring out some of the notes in the wine. Who knows?
The go-to
So-
in our house, if we're really going to enjoy a nice Sunday night meal where we just want to enjoy dedication or something like this, it's very layered, is steak au poivre.
Ooh, one of my
Oh,
favorites.
interesting.
And
Yeah, I could see how the peppercorns
Yeah.
would interact really well with this wine.
And I have no shame in giving credit. I did not learn how to cook until I started watching Alton Brown on Good Eats. And his game changer episode for me was called Tender is the Loin. And in that episode, not only does he show you how to prepare steak au poivre, I have never tried another recipe because after I made that my first time, I was like, there is no better than this. But he also shows you how to go into Costco and shop for a tenderloin and buy a whole beef tenderloin and not be afraid of getting out the knife and getting that silver skin off. So anybody who enjoys cooking and is not afraid to get their hands a little wet and cold, check out that episode.
Andy, you need to send me that recipe. I've actually
Yeah, I
never
will.
made steak
Yeah,
au poivre.
for sure.
I love
Definitely.
it though, and I order it, when I see it at restaurants, and it's definitely a favorite of mine. There's a great restaurant in Delaware where I'm from that it's a specialty of theirs. So I'm a big fan. I just ordered. I was thinking about as I was tasting this wine, I just ordered some Pat LaFrida steaks from New York that get out here on Tuesday. So I really want to have one of those steaks with this wine.
Yeah, and I'll give you a heads up. Apologies to our friends Joel and Don Wallers. Probably the second or third time I made this, I forgot to drain off the butter and olive oil after blackening the steaks. And then you deglaze the pan by adding in brandy, and then you burn the alcohol off the brandy. Well, deglazing a pan with brandy with all the butter and olive oil still in the stainless steel pan, well, their kitchen has a recessed fluorescent lights with the plastic cells, and by the time I was done, the plastic cells were a little bubbled and brown.
Oh, geez.
We had blue-orange flames going about 6 feet up, and I probably would have singed my hair if I hadn't taken protective measures.
So Andy, we have a question about early bud break. Adam is asking if you can talk about a little bit about the early bud break and recent rains and how that has affected what's going on in the vineyard.
Is it that early? Is it that early for the bud break?
It is a touch early. The thing is it did get cold the last couple of weeks, but yeah, we had buds starting to push probably 2-3 weeks ago. I was actually just out in the Gate Block Cabernet as I was scouting out areas to film today, and the Gate Cabernet has not even started to push yet. But out here in the Merlot, I'll try not to give anybody vertigo, but I'll move the camera quickly for those of you who haven't seen bud break before. The danger of it coming in early is chance of frost.
He pressed end.
Hang on. Am I back?
You're back.
Seg,
Okay.
you're muted.
I'm muted?
Seg is.
Okay. So the buds are just now starting to push. So here's one. Can you see my finger? Oh wait,
No,
I'll just turn it
down.
down. Let me turn the camera around. Hey,
There we go.
technology.
Better.
So this bud here is just starting to swell. Moves to my shadows in the way. And you can see a little bit of a white puff out there. And as that progresses, it swells a little bit further to the point that here we are, it's just starting to come out. And different buds are going to push at different rates. So here's one that's even further advanced. But if we got a real cold snap right now, or if we had a hailstorm, the hail could just snap these fragile baby shoots right off. Now here's one that's much further along. So there is some inherent risk in bud break coming a little early, but that also, being glass half full, that also means we have potential of a much longer growing season. So we get a longer, higher quality fruit come the fall. It's And more hang time is going to give us better tannins, more phenols, and a much better opportunity to make an even more amazing wine. And who knows, we might actually be done picking and done fermenting by the time Halloween comes along.
So Andy, we had a question about how you, which Cabernet grapes go in the dedication versus the estate cab, and then also what is your favorite vintage of dedication and why?
Well, I'm going to have to say my favorite vintage of dedication has to be the 2007. Is Paula smiling? I can't see with the glare.
Cheers.
So
yes, but that's not.
So the 2007 dedication actually was dedicated to Paula because 2007 marked the 20th anniversary of us first meeting as exchange students in Spain.
Oh, nice.
And that question was not from me. That was from Jim.
Right. I don't really have a favorite. I think the 2005 onward, where it's all estate fruit and its expression of our vineyard, all have their own unique flavors and attributes. I have a hard time saying what is my favorite of anything, because for those of you who have more than one child, which child is your favorite? Not which one has the most prospects. Which one is your...
Not true.
Not today. So as it opens up a little more, I'm getting a lot of like leather on the nose. As I get deeper into the glass, I'm getting a lot of that Napa leather, type smell. And the fruit is really coming out the more it opens up and the more keep going back to the glass.
Getting a lot more cherry in the back now.
My second glass was all blackberry and cherry.
Yeah, definitely cherry. You know what it reminds me of is those, like a cherry fruit roll up, like that real
nice, juicy, mouth-watery.
Yeah.
Say juicy and mouth-watering. And I do need to get back to the question about which Cabernet, but juicy, mouth-watering. I sometimes give credit to the Malbec for that. Malbec has a very unique, especially as fruit, has a unique smell and aroma and, Captain Redundancy here. It has a unique flavor and an acidity that I've never been able to describe until it hit me one day. What flavor is juicy fruit chewing gum? It is this weird amalgamation, and I sum it up as a mouth-watering acidity, fruitiness, that when it enters your mouth, the salivary glands just kick into hyperdrive and makes you want to take another sip. And that, to me, is the contribution that Malbec makes in this blend. And of course, Cabernet Franc that we tasted on Monday, it does bring some of those dried herb components. That might be where some of the leather that you're smelling is coming into interplay as well.
You're right on about that Malbec. We had a bottle of Malbec last night, and everything you said just rings very true to what we were experiencing as we were drinking it.
Now, the question Paula relayed for somebody watching earlier, how do I decide which Cabernet goes in the Cabernet, which Cabernet goes in the dedication? And same could be said for Merlot and Cab Franc and Malbec. I'm looking at each individual lot from a vintage, that which Cabernet is definitely screaming to me that, wow, this is Cabernet through and through. To be honest, when I'm creating dedication and when I've worked at other wineries, when we're creating our blends, we look for those wines that are not stand by themselves varietals, that maybe we have one lot of Merlot that the mid palate is a little light. Maybe we have a Cabernet that's a little bit more tannic than we wanted it to be. And that's where we get to interplay and have 1 + 1 = 5. And that's the fun part of blending, is that, okay, just because you see where these pieces are going to mesh doesn't mean they're going to mesh. Sometimes we see something with an amazing mid palate and something with a soft mid palate. It falls apart and has no entry and no finish. Sometimes you see something where it's going to fit and it explodes and becomes even more dynamic than you ever hoped it could be. And that's why we do blending trials. And that's after we're done with small scale bench trials, we build them up to 5 gallons, build them up to a barrel to make sure that we didn't make any errors.
As I keep drinking this, I think that there are a lot of really good foods that would pair with it. But I keep going back to that lamb chop that you mentioned earlier. I'd be really great with this. I'm craving that right now. I think we're having plank salmon, but I'll take a seat of plank salmon. It'll be fine.
Well, hey, as we continue to let this evolve, I don't want us to go too long in time. And I know you guys have something fun coming out later today.
Oh, that's right. We do.
Peg, you want to do the honors?
Sure. At 7:30 Eastern time, we are live streaming on YouTube footage from our concert at the Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado, which we were so honored to have gotten to perform at. And this footage is never before seen. And, obviously we're not selling tickets for the show, but we are asking that if you do watch and you enjoy it, we have a link there'll be a link on the YouTube page as well as all of our socials to donate to Meals on Wheels, a really important charity all the time, but especially now with all the quarantine and people not really being able to get out and stores closing and whatnot. So if you feel obliged, please donate, but you don't have to. It's all good. But yeah, tune into our YouTube channel, SNC Music, and you'll be able to watch our show in its entirety.
Yeah, and once it's aired, that's it. It's coming down. So it's
right. Mission Impossible style. It will self-destruct.
Trying to mimic a little bit of that appointment television from when we were growing up.
Yeah.
But also, you know what?
So who's going to go to who's going to go to the server farm and destroy that server that it's on?
That's the Mission Impossible that Shaggy was talking about. Also, stay tuned because we're going to be posting other videos of our concerts online in a similar sort of idea that we'll post it for free for anybody that wants to tune in and enjoy it, and then we'll have different things that people can donate to along the way if you enjoy the show. So stay tuned, stay posted. We'll bring you some more wine, and obviously we'll bring you some more music.
Stay on your couch is the most important thing. Stay on your couch.
That's
right.
Wash your hands.
And wash your hands. And we're just trying to do our part to, keep people entertained and to give people something to look forward to. Because, I think everybody's at a time where they feel like it's Groundhog Day and every day is the same and you don't even know what day it is half the time. So if we can give people, a tune-in event to look forward to and take their mind off things for a couple hours, then, that's what artists do. And, throughout the course of history, that's the great things that's the great thing that artists are able to do is provide an escape. So, we're happy to be doing that.
I have to tell you guys, I think I shared with David Britz after our Monday webcast, one of our club members emailed us and was just so delighted with everything we've been doing, bringing this into our homes. She asked what charity she could make a donation to. So we recommended Napa County Food Bank, and she was about to donate $1,000 to Napa County Food Bank. And then I said, oh, wait, hold on one second. The church we go to actually has a mission farm, and all the produce we grow there gets donated to the food bank. And I said, you know what, donate it to the mission farm at St. John's Lutheran. That $1,000 is going to go so much further and last so much longer actually growing the produce. And sure. I was just so touched. I mean, I read it, I started to cry. Paula read it, she started to cry. And then when I gave her my suggestion of donating it to the mission farm, she replied, now I'm crying. So I'm just amazed. I'm amazed at the generosity of people out there. And I really appreciate everybody tuning in and joining us here. Now the Wine Bros, you guys gonna have anything lined up for the coming week?
Yeah, we've got a couple things coming up here. I believe our next tasting is with Lori Rich at Falcor. You know, we actually, guys, we're gonna have to move that one up. It's gonna be earlier in the week than we had originally planned. But yeah, Lori Rich is gonna be our next guest, and we're gonna be doing that next week. So we'll announce the exact date and time. But we're looking forward to that. And then a few other folks are in the works as well. You know, that's the fun thing about doing this, is that, you know, we've just reached out to people that we've gotten to know throughout, you know, several years, and just said, hey, do you want to get on a Zoom and talk wine and taste and have a little fun and, you know, give people something to watch while they're at home? And everybody's like, yeah, I'm at home. Why not? So it's going to be fun. So we got a few things planned, and, you know, this originally started out as, you know, hey, let's try one of these. And then it turned into, hey, well, maybe we'll just keep doing them. And I think we're having fun, so we're just going to keep doing them.
And I think, Andy, are we gonna circle back with you sometime in April? I've got a whole bunch of Schweiger labels back here that need to be enjoyed.
I think this is so much fun, and I looked at the schedule and, you know, bounced a few dates off you guys. So here's what's going to be coming up with Schweiger Live over the next few weeks. Next week, Tuesday, I'm going to be delving into cork and screw cap. We had somebody ask, had we ever considered screw cap for some of our wines? And actually, yes, we have, and yes, we do, on both our Chardonnay and our Sauvignon Blanc. However, I also want to talk about the world of cork and how cork is made. In 2015, my cork supplier took me on a trip to Portugal, so I have a lot of fun photos and videos to share on that one. Then on Thursday, I'm going to take a day off from being in front of the camera, and I'm going to put my dad and my assistant winemaker, Becca Wolf, in front of the camera. And I'm going to have them take a walk through the vineyard and show everybody what's happening here at Spring and Schweiger Vineyards, and talk more about viticulture. Then the following week, the week of April 13th, we've got 3 amazing piano players coming on the show. And for that, we have put together what we're calling the Piano Pack. And very much like the Straight No Chaser 6-pack, these wines will have a built-in 20% discount and $10 flat rate shipping. If you've been getting our emails, there'll be an email on that, and we'll put information in the comments section as well. On April 13th, when he called me, I went into full-on fanboy explosion. Gordon Goodwin, with Gordon Goodwin's Big Fat Band, is going to be on with his friend Banji Gunn. And so they're going to play a little for us, sing for us, and then we're going to talk about 2 wines. On the 15th, Cecil Ramirez, good friend, amazing piano player, sales manager for Mason Hamlin, and also a certified sommelier. And we're actually going to look at 2014 Gate Block and Monterre side by side. Then the 17th, my friend Brian Culbertson, amazing jazz pianist, and he brings a bunch of his friends to Napa Valley every year, and so he's going to be on. Following week, April 20th. What do you say, guys? Should we pour another round?
Another round.
Great.
Sounds good to me.
I am impressed that you rattled off all of those dates just like that. That's amazing.
Ask my wife how
great.
I'm sleeping.
I'm going to tune into a lot of those. That sounds really like a lot of fun, and I'll be drinking some wine at the same time. Also fun.
Yeah, and we've got some more lined up for even past that. So we're going to go well into May with this, and even longer. As long as people are having to shelter in place, we want to be there to help them enjoy wine in their home and hopefully bring some entertainment and some fun into the home as well.
Well, here's the thing, Andy. People are going to get used to seeing you on their screens, and they're going to want you to keep doing this. So just know that, you know, you might just by sheer popular demand have to keep going past the shelter in place.
Well, let's see where this goes. But, you know, hey guys, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this with me the last few days, and looking forward to seeing your live stream at 4:30. If one of you guys can send me the link to that, I'll make sure that we're pointing our Facebook to that at 4:30 today.
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
Sure thing.
Cheers, you guys.
Pleasure's
Fantastic.
all ours, Andy.
Thanks for having us.
So for those of you who lost track, happy Friday. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. And like I said last time, pour another glass, because if you're holding 2 glasses of wine, you can't touch your face.
That's right. If you're holding 2 glasses, you can't do it.
Love it.
Cheers, everybody. Stay safe.
Cheers.
Be healthy.